All right, guys, welcome to part 2 of working with if else, right? So in the last video, I showed you guys how to do how to work with booleans and numbers, right? So when I say numbers, I mean double and integers. So it's pretty much the same thing. So in this one, I'm going to show you guys how you do how you work with characters and how you work with strings. So first, I'm going to show you guys how you work with characters. And then I'm going to show you guys, let's do strings first, and then we're going to go to characters. Okay. Now, so, okay. So instead of enter mark, let's say enter your name, right? Enter your name. Right? And then we're going to change this to be a string. And then instead of mark, we're going to say as name, right? And then instead of double, we're going to change this one to next line. Okay. Now, we would like to check if you entered the correct name, right? So now let me just go up here and then I say string password. Oh, I should have used, we should have done like password, right? Enter password as password, like this, right? So say we have set a password right here. And the password is, okay, something like this, right? Oh, you know what? Let's use TechnoByte. I like TechnoByte, right? And we're gonna make this to be a capital letter. Right? TechnoByte, like this. TechnoByte. Right? So the password is TechnoByte, right? And then instead of enter your name, we're gonna say enter password. Right? Enter password. Oh, there's something cool you can do with loops as well. I'll get there. We'll get there. And then instead of as name, we're gonna say as input, right? Right. So we're gonna say as input, and then right here we're gonna do some. Do we need to do any processing? Do we need to do? No, we do not need to do any processing. So we're just gonna jump straight to the output, right? So I'm gonna have if here, right? So just writing down the. So if the password is correct, print line. Like this, right? And then in here, I'm gonna say password incorrect. Right? Oh no. Actually, let's write access granted. Right? We're gonna do access granted, and then else. So if the password is wrong, we're just gonna write invalid password or invalid password. Right? Capital letters, so invalid password, like this. And then just close that curly bracket. So what goes inside our parentheses, our condition, right? So remember when we're doing so first we're gonna do this. So if the it doesn't matter which one you use first, I'm just gonna use input. If input is equal to double equal to is equal to password, then system out print access granted. Okay, so I saved it, and then we're gonna run this, and so I wrote it with a capital letters TechnoByte, right? So you agree with me that this is the same as this, right? However, when I hit enter, it says invalid password. So what's going on, right? So what's going on is that you cannot use the double equal signs for strings, for comparing strings, because once you use the double equal signs, it no longer compares the strings, but it compares the memory addresses of your strings, right? So when you create a string, it creates a memory location where it stores this address, and then when you create another string, it creates another memory address, right? So you're checking if the memory address is the same, right? And it can never be the same because I don't know if you guys know the law of physics where it says man, I'm forgetting my physics. Where it says you cannot have the same thing taking the same space at the same time, right? So it's something like that, right? So it's something similar to that. You cannot have the same thing occupying the same space at the same time. So how then do we check if the strings are equal? So we need to use a function a method. Sorry about that. We need to use a method to check if the strings are indeed equal. So we have different types of methods, right? So the one that we need is dot equals, right? So notice what I've written. I've written the name of the string, okay? So as input, did I write? No, I forgot to write s. So s input, and then you say dot equals, right? As password. So the thing you want to check. So this is how you do your strings, okay? And then I saved. Did I save that? And then I'm gonna try to run this again. What's going on? Okay. So what's going on is that you see I'm missing an extra bracket here. So this bracket here has now been used for this closing bracket. So I need to have a closing bracket for that parenthesis right there. So close that, and then save. And there it is. So now when we run this, enter password. Now when I write TechnoByte like this, now it says access granted. Okay. Now note they have to be exactly the same. So now if I was to run this again, and now I write TechnoByte like this without the caps, TechnoByte, right? It says invalid password because they have to be exactly the same. So if you don't want it to be case sensitive, there's a different method that you can use. So here I used the equals method. You can use equals ignore case, right? So you can use the equals ignore case. So equals ignore case means even if you write it in small letters, it's still going to be regarded as the same. So it removes the case sensitive part, right? So as you can see, access granted because now I'm using the equals ignore case. So this is something to note that if you want it to be case sensitive, just use the equals method. Then it has to be exactly the same. However, you can use the equals ignore case if you do not want it to be exactly the same. I don't know if you guys are supposed to learn this or I'm going beyond, but yeah, that's how we take a look at we tackle these type of situations. Now, say we moved on to let's move on to characters, right? So characters. So I'm gonna change this now to be a string, to be a character. Right? So char, maybe C initial, right, is equal to y, right? Equal to y, and then enter password. Now it's gonna be enter initial, and then as input stays the same, right? You do not have a next dot dot character, right? So that's something I need to address there. Okay. And then in this one, I'm just gonna add another step so it's not confusing. So process, and then I'm going to create another character here, right? That I'm gonna call C input. And so notice you have S input. Now I have C input. So C input is going to come from S input, right? But character at index 0, like this. So character at index 0. Okay, no, I don't think you guys are supposed to actually do this. Yeah, I don't think you guys are supposed to do this.